So thank you so much for coming here despite of the rain. The goal of today's event is to provide a space to experience and explore the arts and science of Tibetan medicine, which has been practiced for thousands of years as a holistic medicine. We hope that this platform can serve as an introduction to Tibetan medicine in the context of social entrepreneurship in Tibet and the US from various Tibetan medicine practitioners, researchers, and educators. Most importantly, we hope that this event helps us reconnect with our Tibetan Himalayan roots together through the medium of Tibetan medicine.
This event was inspired by Magic Weekend, an annual gathering for those passionate about civic engagement and social transformation in Tibet, and we are grateful for Magic for inspiring us to have this event.
To respect our speakers and panelists, we ask that you put your phone on silence if you haven't already. Also, our presentation today will focus on Tibetan medicine and social entrepreneurship, and we request the discussions and the questions are relevant to the topics presented today.
And before we start, we would like to acknowledge that we are on the Ohlone people's land, whose ancestral homelands we gather on, as well as the diverse and vibrant Native communities who make their home here today. We thank them for their strength and resilience in protecting this land and aspire to uphold their responsibilities according to their example.
So to start this event, can we please have Dr. Yangdrung La and Tenzin Sherpa La come up to the stage for a welcome speech. Dr. Khalid Yangdrung is the founder and lead practitioner at Kunde Institute, a Tibetan medical center based in San Francisco. Tenzin Sherpa is currently a senior at UC Berkeley, pursuing a degree in molecular and cellular biology, and serves as the president of the Nepalese Student Association. So can we please have them on stage? Thank you.
Good morning. We're still part of the celebration of Lhasa. It's still not end of the month, so I'm still dressed up Lhasa. Thank you for coming this morning with a rainy day. We're not sure how many people are going to show up with this rain. So it is my delight to welcome all of you to be here to join with us to really reconnect with your roots. And one thing I want to share with you, I didn't even plan this morning. This is my first day I took English in this building when I arrived in 1997 at UC Berkeley English Extension. So I don't know how I read that name, but I really got it back. Yeah, thank you. So Tenzin is coming, but Tenzin had to run for a few errands, so he will be coming. And then, so I really want to say why you're here today. Why? What about Tibetan medicine? Why do you come here? And there's so many other medicines are around, but why are you like to hear about this? Because I want to share with my joy and my passion and the work that I do is not only sacrifice for myself to get income, but it brings me a lot of joy to help others. But I see the fruit from other people. They thank me, they cry, they appreciate so much. So I want to show the roots of that. It's not coming from me as Yangdrung. It's coming from the knowledge of Tibetan and the Himalayan culture. So this is part I want to share. So now a lot of people ask me what about the Tibetan medicine? What does that cover? So I'd like to invite everyone just to stand up quickly. Quickly, we're going to do one exercise. So you know, all of you know about the head and shoulder, knees and toes, right? So let's sing that song, okay? Together. 1, 2, 3. Head and shoulder, knees and toes, knees and toes. Head and shoulder, knees and toes, knees and toes. I said, there's some of the nose, right? Sometimes I get confused. Okay, anyway, thank you. Have a seat. So, really, the Tibetan medicine covers everything top down, top to down, inside out, outside in. So this is part of beauty of Tibetan medicine. So when people come to see me, it's not only just for one day. I'm not specialized in anything. I'm holistic medicine practitioner. So this is the one thing I want to share, and also one of the reasons why we did this event is because last November we went to, let's see, where did the Mati slides go? Where's the Mati slide here? Is it coming? Okay. So anyway, I will show you that later. We got a little bit confused here. But anyway, what we did is we went to Mati in DC. Mati is a group of people that actually association, they do great work on social entrepreneurship on Tibetan and youth, bridging between Tibetan and inside Tibet and outside of Tibet. So that really inspired us, and I took my kids there and I asked them, what do you want to bring to the West Coast? They said, we want to bring all our friends back to East Coast. So I said, how about we start something similar here? Then that's what it happened and how it formed. So here you go, the Maji is here. So you can look more about online about their information. They do such a wonderful, if we cannot do ourselves, every year we should go there in November. They do that every year. It's such a wonderful program. And so this is the whole day program. You already saw everything. And Tenzin is here. So Tenzin, do you want to come in? Then we invite our guest of honor. Yeah.
Morning, everyone. Hope everyone's staying dry. My name is Sowa Rigpa. I'm the current president of NSA, the Housing Association here at UC Berkeley. Just keep it brief and just welcome everyone to this event. We have some wonderful speakers out here today, so hope you learn a lot and then just go to them. So yeah, thank you. Welcome again to UC Berkeley.
Perfect. So thank you so much for your warm welcome, Dr. Yangdun La and Tenzin La. We will now like to introduce our honorary guest, BK White, who is from the Mayor's office, to come and say a few words. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to start out by saying it's an honor and a pleasure to be here, and there's no way we would not have been here. The Tibetan community in Richmond means so much to us, and the love that they bring to the city, the diversity they bring to the city, and all the values they bring will support the Tibetan community in any way we can. Unfortunately, Mayor Eduardo Martinez was unable to be here. He's under the weather. Maybe he needed some Tibetan medicine. Maybe I'll talk to him about that. But we do understand the importance of the health and well-being, both physical and mental. So once again, we're just really happy to be here, and anywhere that the Tibetan community needs us, we will surely show up. Thank you.
Thank you, BK White. We will now have a meditation session led by Geshe Lobsang La. Geshe Lobsang La is a Tibetan and Chinese medicine practitioner and has completed rigorous Tibetan Buddhist studies.
Thank you, everybody. So my part is, Yangdun La did a physical part for exercising, right? Stretching. So my part is just brain exercise or mind exercising. So, and thank you very much for everybody to come in such early in Saturday morning in this kind of weather, especially for the youngsters. You know, this is like this time is like in the middle of night for you guys, right? So I know. I have a 70-year-old daughter, so I can tell you. Okay, so release our stress now. Okay, so this is the very typical Tibetan traditional way of starting the events. or any kind of activities, it's called like mind setting, or setting your motivations, why you are doing this, why you are here. So it is very important part of the spiritual practice, because my background is spiritual practice. So now here is typical Buddhist prayer in here, mind setting prayers. It's a very popular one. So good thing about this one is it can be modified, altered, based on whatever the activities you are in, events you are in. So now here I have a Tibetan in here and Tibetan transliteration and English, 3 different options. So if you can read Tibetan, just read in Tibetan, and then otherwise you can just read yourself in English, right? So we are going to start with this. And then, so when you read this here, it says here, until enlightenment, which is typical Buddhist motivation to do any spiritual activities, to go refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So here, if you know Buddhist, you can say to whoever your spiritual guidance are. And Dharma is the teachings, and the Sangha is the supreme community or spiritual community. So you can change that one and you can make your own prayer. And through the merit of creative practice in giving and other perfections. So this is the very typical universal practice, like giving practice. There's 6 different perfections. So now here, today we are here even for the Tibetan medicine. You can say here, through the merit, I gain a knowledge of the Tibetan medicine, wisdom of Tibetan medicine. And may I achieve, instead of Buddhahood, achieve knowledge of the Tibetan medicine to benefit all living beings. You definitely gain a lot of knowledge here today. So you can share with your friends. So this is the prayer. So you can follow me as here, whatever says in the screen, or you can just say whatever you want in your own belief system, okay? So at the end of this prayer, I want you to we're going to have a silent for maybe, how long, one hour meditation? Even like 30 seconds, okay? So, and you should think whatever we say as a prayer you have, I want you to meditate upon it, okay? So just take a deep breath in, shoulder up, leave all the stress that you have in your home and just leave it there, don't bring it here, okay? Sangye chodan zoye chonam la chanchu bado dani gyapso dagi jinzo gibe sonam ge jola penje sangye jobar sho. Okay, so that is your, whatever the intention you set it up here. And as MC introduced me as a teaching in the Tibetan Buddhist background, so I am chaplain in the Santa Clara County Jail. So when I was giving a teaching in Santa Clara County Jail, and one day one inmate came to our class and he raised a lot of issues, especially for the sleeping issues. And he said, I couldn't fall asleep. There was like a dormitory. There was solitary confinement and also like a dormitories. There were 60 adults. Can you imagine? And the 3-tier bunk bed. And they sleep. He said, I couldn't sleep. They keep talking whole night. And then there are people, some people, they have sleep apnea. So like just choking and snoring whole night. He said, I couldn't sleep. I really want to have a good rest. And then I asked him about his case. He said, well, I'm going to be released in 2 months. So, and I have a lot of support from family members and friends and everything. And then I said, okay. So I will tell him the story. I said, once upon a time, there was a crow. Look at how beautiful it is, like a shiny black. And he's really enjoying roaming around, having a lot of fruits from the trees. And then he saw a swan, beautiful swan nearby the pond. And he looked at the swan, so beautiful. And he went to the swan and says, hey swan, you are so beautiful. You are white as the snow. And your feathers are like a cotton ball. so beautiful, I really envy on you. You must be very happy, bird. And then Swan said, actually, I saw a beautiful green parrot on a tree nearby. And I thought my white is nothing. It has two colors. It's very green body with the, very beautiful beak, the red one like a strawberry. And then Crow said, really? He wanted to see the parrot. And then he said, hey, parrot, you must be very happy one. Because you're so beautiful, you have two colors, look at me, just black. And then parrot said, actually I thought I'm very beautiful green, but I noticed that when I was in tree, my green body camouflaged with the green leaves. And my beautiful beak is like fruits. So nobody can appreciate me, nobody can see me. And actually, Crow was very confused. He thought, they're so beautiful, they keep complaining, why? And then Parrot said, there is a peacock, right? Attractive peacock there. So it's more beautiful than I do. It's big, a lot of colors on it. And then Crow approached the peacock. Peacock is in the zoo. And then Crow said again, same thing. Hey, peacock, you must be very happy one. Look at you. You're in the zoo. People taking care of you. A lot of people see you, come to see you. Nobody cares about me. And then Peacock said, Crow, I think you should be the happiest one. Right? Because Peacock just roaming around freely. The Crow. Peacock is in the jail. Right? It's basically jail. And then Crow was very confused. And then Peacock says, yeah, you should be appreciate yourself. You can roam around, you can eat food whatever you want to. And me in the jail, people try to feed me, but they don't know how to, humans are so terrible, they don't know how to cook for the bird. And I'm locked up in the zoo and lost my freedom. And then Crow internalized it, and he really noticed that he was this happiest bird in the world. And finally, the Crow agreed and called all his friends and said, we must appreciate what we have. So we just keep looking at each other and always, envy others one. So we should appreciate whatever we have. And finally they agree to enjoy what they have. And after the story, after a couple of weeks, the inmate came to my class again. We have a weekly class. And he said, hey, Lobsang, I applied this story and changing mindset and perspective is really working. I'm using in my jail now. I said, how did you use it? And he said, when one day he was laying down in his bed and he can hear all the noises as usual. And then he remembered the conversation we had in the class. He said, I was listening and what they're talking. And here he heard that the inmates around him, they're talking about how lawyers cheated on them and all the family members and friends ostracized them. Nobody took care of them. They lost all the monies and everything. And then he feel like, wow, I'm going to be released in the 2 months. They must be going through so much stress. Look at their situation. I'm the luckiest one. I'm going to be released in the 2 months, and I have a good support from my family members and friends. And then he tried to meditate empathy on them. My problem is nothing. And then he listened to the sleep apnea person, snoring so loud. It's very disturbing for him as usual. And then he thought about his situation. And, he's almost choking many times. He feel, wow, look at him. He's almost going to die. Then he feels sorry for his situation and his health. And then just meditating up on them, empathy meditation. And he woke up in the morning, 8 o'clock. He just slept throughout the night. The same noise, but didn't bother him. So this is the power of changing your mindset. Okay? So it's simple, embarrassingly simple, but difficult to practice it. And well, if you keep chasing your desire, you never ever be happy, enjoy your life. We're always chasing, Tibetan called unquenchable desire. It's like drinking as a salty water, ocean water, like constantly, no matter how much you drink, always feel like thirsty. So saying enjoy whatever you have, but it doesn't mean you don't put effort. You have to put effort. You have to try many attempts to gain your highest goal. But sometimes there is a time you hit the wall, right? There's no way to go. And what people do? Depress. I couldn't sleep, I cannot eat, so depressed, and the people keep complaining. But what the good thing is, one the Buddhist master said, I will say in Tibetan first, right? It says here, if the problem can be solved, why we worry, right? It's going to be solved anyway, right? If the problem cannot be solved, same thing again. There's no point to worry. So it doesn't mean you give up everything, right? You have to try many times, but sometimes you hit the wall. Then instead of like having depressed, think that one. And for many of you are going to be in university, so this is called mindful waiting. You are waiting, this is called pardo actually. High school to university, you are in pardo right now. So I really wish you have a good luck and pray for you that get into your top priority university and colleges, wherever you want to, and you deserve it. I know, I have a 17-year-old daughter, you're in high school and you're writing essays and application process. Now waiting, being a pardo is very difficult. So have to have a mindful waiting practice. And thank you. So this my one is called Momo. So meditate like a Momo. 30 seconds meditation a day. Psychotherapist away. Thank you.
Yeah. The Tibetan. I think this. You can speak.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank every single of you who are here today, and also I did not get a chance to thank for all our volunteers. I have all the list for later, but thank you for all your effort to make this possible. Without your help, I wouldn't be able to put this event together, and I'm so happy that Samsuki we share exactly same motivation. If you wait, nothing will come. So you better do something. It doesn't mean that I'm the best, I'm doing this. I'm not capable of doing a lot of things. I'm learning, asking, suffering, learning, and I've been working with the young kids for last a month. I'm being tortured. They're like, just click. They don't talk only once or twice. No more second questions. So I have to learn how to do fast texting. So anyway, there are a lot of things, new things I need to learn, but don't wait. So, and also another thing is I didn't include it in my presentation, but I also came from Tibet like 26 years ago. As I mentioned earlier, this is my first English class after 4th day when I arrived into the US. So I also came to US as a bright idea to get a better education, and also she did. And we all grabbed all the opportunities there, not waiting and wasting. Especially I want to influence our younger kids who came from Tibet or India or other places, or some of, actually they do better, but kids are born here, then we lose the strength. So I want to be strong and be able to see those things. not everyone has this opportunity like she and I had, and I have, because we're just one of them happen to be here, but we want to share this with you. So I hope you can take every single opportunities there, being volunteering, doing something outside. That's how brought me back to doing volunteer work. I did acupuncture volunteer in what is that school called? Oh, it's called Guanyin Clinic in San Francisco. That's how I started to pave my road to today. Yeah, thank you. So let's see. Okay, so let me see. This is okay. So I will continue from this morning. So we talked about why Tibetan medicine, how Tibetan medicine, right? Now you see. Do you see this every day in the? So let me see which presentation, which one is there. Okay. So. One of the things our kids don't see one thing or don't hear about the Tibetan culture, we only see we have a Buddhism, which is great. It's been helping us a lot. And we only see the dance and performance. But other than that, or maybe food, right? Other than that, we don't know anything about Tibetan culture, so Tibetan or Himalayan culture. However, Tibetan culture is rooted with the 5 different we call major and minor studies of Tibetan entire culture. So that include art of science, art of healing is a part of them. Sowa Rigpa is the second one. And third one is Buddhism, and logic thinking is a very important thing. It's not just we're learning about critical thinking here in the West. We also have this logic, philosophy, deep knowledge in Tibetan culture that is being implemented into the regular schools too. Then Tianzi Rigpa, I'm not sure how to translate. Lobsan, what would you say? You don't know, but it's one of them. So I want to share this one. Then it's based on those. So I don't know if you heard about anything about those before, like a younger generation. Did you hear anything about those? Anything? No, right? Okay, so, but among all of those studies, Tibetan medicine is integrative medicine, and it basically merges all the essence of the Tibetan culture. So it has a Buddhism part, it has the medicine part, it has the philosophy part, it has the logic part, it has everything in it. That's why I'm using the Tibetan medicine as a vehicle to introduce this culture. So why? Well, we take a look at it now. Nowadays we have sugar, salt, or all the food. Everybody is suffering from this condition. So I'm here today as not only as a clinician, but also as a mother, but also as an educator. So I combine these 3 things together. But every day I see patients. If we can take care of better, including myself, they know how late I stayed. But anyway, if we can take care of our better with the lifestyle, 50% of condition you can cure without problem. You don't need to do anything. But you don't need to take medications. You don't need to do anything if you change your lifestyle. But this is the hardest thing because, you just take it, then forget about what you're doing. However, your lifestyle is very easy, but very hard to change. So you forget one day, you try to do something. However, most of the condition, the disease that we have today, that is caused by the lifestyle imbalances. So in Tibetan medicine, Jennifer, we're actually going through more detail, but what I'm going to say why Tibetan medicine is critical, why doing this work, is why we hosted 5 or 6 different conferences, symposium on Tibetan and Western integrative medicine at Stanford for the last, up to 2020, of course. Why they like us? Why they like to do this? We don't have any fancy machine to diagnose. I don't have any fancy MRI machine. What I only have this 5 sensory organs. But in Tibetan medicine, what we are being taught by using these 5 sense organs and also using the tongue, urine, and pulse diagnostic method. So you're the doctor of all. If you cannot diagnose, there's one backup for us is astrology. If none of them can help, then we find other solution. But in general, stay on the clinic part. Pulse, urine are those the things that we use for diagnosis. So when I use urine, it doesn't mean that I have a lab. Someone can check the urine in the LabCorp. We have LabCorp next to my office, but they have nothing to do with me. And as a Tibetan doctor, we are trained to be able to check the urine. And Jennifer will go through that detailedly. So, not really detailed, but she will introduce. So those are the things that in Western, I'm not saying Western medicine is not good. We all good. We all need to work together. Just like Samsuki said, the best result how we get is by working together. So none of the medicine can make perfect. If we all work together, we make it perfect. So that includes all the Asian medicine, Ayurveda, Chinese medicine, Tibetan medicine, and then the Western medicine. Right now we have functional medicine in the West. There's osteopathic. They're actually really good. They don't want to prescribe medications, and I'll show you why later. But anyway, we have our own blind spot, and Western medicine has their own blind spot. Why they come to see me? It's because they have no answer through the Western medicine. When they come, what they say, okay, I did MRI, blood test, I did all my x-rays, nothing was wrong, but I can't sleep, I wake up easily, and I have pain there. And what's going on? My doctor said, either I'm thinking in my head too much, you shut your mind down, or you go to the psychotherapist or go to see psychiatrist. That's the next solution. But trained as a Tibetan doctor, we don't separate the mind and body. The mind and body are connected. They are one. Mind can affect your body can affect your mind. So these two are equal, so we don't separate them. So all one, we call holistic medicine, right? So Tibetan medicine is a part of holistic medicine. So this is one of the things, how critical at this stage, especially after this COVID situation, how much work a patient are suffering from, and how many people are suffering from the long haul condition. And let me see if I have time, I will go through that. But this is the short information that I want to say. And in addition to the clinical work, we also try to not publicize purposely, but we're trying to raise the awareness of Tibetan medicine in the public libraries. So we have done quite a bit presentations bringing the Tibetan medicine into San Francisco library. It hasn't done in East Bay, and I'm looking forward to opportunities. And could be in the universities and could be in the big cities through the schools. But we need someone to really realize, if you're here, I hope you can hear this word, how critical it is. Because biomedicine has their answer, but to the point there's no answer. Then you could have the best insurance, but you may not get the best care. And how many people are suffering between the insurance company and yourself? It's incredible. And sometimes I cry in the clinic because I feel they've been dumped in between the system and the system and the insurance company. And they need care, but there's no care. You have to wait because you met your 30% of 30 visit, or you met your this. I got chance to take an insurance from the acupuncture license, and we see a lot of veterans, and we see a lot of workers' comp patient by integrating the Tibetan and acupuncture medical system. And so far I have been serving those group of people since 2010 from San Francisco VA. And there quite a bit of patient also comes from East Bay veterans. So this is one of, it's not become social entrepreneur or big things, but I'm trying to use the Tibetan medicine in different areas. It can be,
wherever you take the Tibetan medicine, it can be useful. There's a self-care, there's a women's care, there's a children's care. I don't even know how to cover everything. But the meaning of the medicine in Tibetan word is called men. So you heard the men, right? The words. And I wrote Tibetan there, and if you can read of the Tibetan. So I want to ask you this at this point. What does medicine mean in Western English language? What does medicine mean? What do you interpret?
Prescription drugs.
Yeah. Yes.
Pharmaceutical therapy.
Yes. Yeah. And anything else? Yes.
I think it's very solution oriented.
Yeah.
It tries to reverse something instead of looking at it from a broader perspective.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Anybody from that side? Okay, so anyway, I see Western medicine working as a, someone wants to say something? Oh, okay, you can raise your hand anytime. So,
I was just saying that it's very isolating, like they isolate a particular thing and look at that thing rather than the system.
yeah. So yeah, because you have to. This is this department. This is lung department, and this is not kidney department. But I need to treat long haul condition all in one. Not only that, lung and kidney are together. So one of our patients, she's a long haul condition of the COVID. She waited 6 months to get appointment at Stanford after she discovered everything from UCSF and it wasn't resolved. Then she asked for Stanford, waited for whole 6 months to get a one appointment, see what's wrong with her. She apparently taking in for 15 minutes, then they did all the check marks. They said, you don't fit into our protocols. She was sent home. How painful it is. She has no solution. Luckily, she's one of my family friends, and I talked. I didn't even do any treatment, like checking pulse or those, because she was my old patient. So what I did is I went through the theory of Tibetan medicine, and I know her symptoms. I went through one by one. And then in Tibetan medicine, this is a part of the cold conditions. We call lung tiba pagan. It's a pagan and lung condition. She's a senior, over 65, and there's all the signs will come up with the next presentation. But anyway, I just treated with that. Nothing is fancy. I just used the pagan and lung, pelung. Then I give her one book that you're gonna expose later. So she read that book. She really resonated with the concept. She feels much better. Although she's suffering, doesn't mean resolve everything, but the care is much more healing, and there's somebody, she can actually understand what's going on with her. But by medicine, regular tests, nothing was wrong with her. So finally, they're doing all the brain MRI, everything, but it's in the process. But the meaning of medicine, we all accept like drugs, pills, shots, tablets, right? Vaccination, yeah. Actually, the root meaning of the medicine, it means benefit. Two benefits, beneficial. But where did that go? Nobody says that. Did you hear anything from the group? No, I ask this question every single time when I do the presentation. No one says, because it's gone, but it's in the dictionary. So that brings us back to the reconnect to the roots again, because we've got to reconnect ourselves back to the roots, where we come from, where we actually learning the medicine. So learning the medicine, or what are the major part of the medicine. So yeah, thank you for asking, and we're going over that diagnostic method in Tibetan medicine. But I want to, since question came, so what are the diagnostic methods in Tibetan medicine? Pulse diagnosis, urine diagnosis, tongue diagnosis. We call that rik tisum. Ta means observation. Rik means to touch, to palpate. Ti means inquiring, so you ask many questions. So for instance, Okay, so I go to the clinic in Western medicine. They ask you, you say, I have pain. What kind of pain? They probably say, oh, a headache. Or they give you one medication. Then you have shoulder pain. But they never ask you what time of the day you get the pain. What kind of the pain? I mean, they may ask you the qualification of the pain, like is a sharp, burning, or what type. But in general, it's all rooted like that way. But in Tibetan medicine, we ask what time of the day. If you have a headache, which part of the head? Is it on the top? It's on the temple? It's on the occipital region? It's whole head feeling heavy? I had a patient said, I feel like a sandbag on my head. So all those are critical message that we need to hear and listen. Then asking question. However, of course, 3 method is the best. But during the COVID, we couldn't do touching, right? Fantastically, the tawa and the tua means the observation and questioning really helped because we did online consultation with a lot of people. Not only me, all the Tibetan doctors who are working, we did a lot of telehealth version. So that all worked. Even if, of course, it's still it's not as clear as in person, but better than no solution, right? Remember when doctor couldn't see the patient, then I was out of, only the emergency doctors working, not regular primary doctors working. And we had a primary doctor actually from Virginia. She took our classes. She could implement our method into her practices. And another thing that I have picture here, but during the COVID, when we just have the COVID hit, so what we did is I saw Tibetan medicine can do so much, but we have no voice. Nobody can help us to stand up to talk about what Tibetan medicine can do. So we went ahead. Just 2 weeks later, we started setting up the webinars. We set up like 6 or different. 2 weeks later, we set up 6 webinars, and we invited different doctors, all Zooming. We all learning about the Zoom. So anyway, we try to offer as much as we can. And speaking of the COVID, then later on, Tony, one of the speakers will mention a little bit, but COVID situation, Tibetan medicine has a lot to talk about it. It's a contagious epidemic, and it's maybe not exactly COVID-19, but there are a lot of similar disease went through in Tibet. So there's a lot of experience that we can discover from there. So my hope, that's why we hope for the conference for the youth as much as we can, because I hope you guys can study, learn this treasure from the Tibet or from Himalayan region of the Sowa Rigpa, to study all those treasure from how to help the humanity. So this is one of the slides we made in the past, and I'm gonna go over this really quick. So here, everybody knows prayer flag, right? But what is the connection between health and healing about the prayer flag? And the 5 elements. So in Tibetan medicine, we say everything on the universe is made of by these 5 elements. When these 5 elements becomes disturbed, then you're starting to have a different thing, dizziness inside, earthquake inside. However, the hard time for Western doctor is when they do the blood test, all those things, when it's so subtle, they cannot catch that part. There's no sign in the blood, there's no sign in MRI or X-ray. But Tibetan medicine can catch from the presentation of the person, the symptom of the patient. So the point of Tibetan medicine is not to treat as number one. Number one goal of Tibetan medicine is to prevent. Prevention is the number one goal of Tibetan medicine. Although it's not through injection, it's not through vaccination, it's through diet, lifestyle, nutrition, sleep, etc. Everything that we're struggling with is part of the prevention. And when these 5 elements become too much, when one of them becomes, they're actually like siblings. When one of them becomes disturbed or ill, over the limit, then other family also get disturbed. So when one of them become too much, the other 3 or 4 become not enough. These we call deficient. But when they become deficient, then there's some others become excess. So you're juggling, constantly juggling. So Tibetan medicine is all about balancing. So you cannot do too much of this, too much of that. You don't do extreme of anything either. So we have, right now, what is on the market? Avocado oil, right? So avocado was really famous for a while, but now Costco is making their big oil container because it's really good for your health. And another thing, what is it? Coconut. Coconut is good for you. Everybody should eat a lot of coconut. And coconut, they're selling big jars at Costco. And also ghee. Did you see ghee? Costco selling, so it's become quite fancy and famous on the market. But then we all flow with the market. We go get the avocado. Let's get the coconut oil. But does the coconut really good for you? When do you take coconut? Where does coconut grow? It really grows in the more tropical area. It doesn't really fit people here in the area that we live in, Bay Area. You can eat some, but doesn't mean you need to eat every day like in Thailand. Same thing for ghee. Ghee is wonderful. I prescribe ghee all the time for patients because a lot of patients going through the lung condition. And ghee is a clarified butter. It's number one. It's much better quality than butter once you see the process. But then doesn't mean everybody should take ghee either. So I want to find out the way to learn a little bit about self-care, self-healing, because if you don't, you will be stuck between the system. So you wait until doctor's note, prescription, then you never get the appointment. Then by the time when you get the appointment, you might be better or you're gone. So in between, I want to recognize your own, signs, symptoms, and I'm so happy I have a patient, maybe students or studying Tibetan medicine as a PA, as a medical doctors. We have computer science people are learning the medicine, but I also want younger generation to keep up learning those things. Those will be much better than your insurance. Your insurance can do certain things, health insurance, but there's a lot of things you cannot do by the insurance either. Okay. So, next thing, building blocks of human body in Tibetan medicine and Western medicine. So, in Tibetan medicine, we will go through this, not only the body, not only the physical body, but also the mind. So, we will be introducing to you, but it boils down from physical level, it boils down to the mental levels, very subtle to the lung. Lung is we call English translation, direct translation is a wind, but it's not really like wind, but it's similar. So lung is a subtle condition that cannot be detected by Western medicine, and Tibetan medicine is very good at it. And probably 80% of patients are suffering from this condition, but there's no answer. But then, now going back to the Western medicine, we have genetics, epigenetics. So all those boil down to, actually the epigenetic, once it comes to the genes, no matter how subtle it is, it can be part of the 5 elements that we talked about earlier. 5 elements are the body building blockers. So we will go through that detail. So earth, fire, water. Here's a little bit different from what we normally call the metal and the other one. It's called air and space. Then we use other terminology we call Long Tiba Pagan. But at this point, you can just think about the 5 elements. Those 5 elements, they have to be harmonized. If you're not harmonized this one, then you're starting to feel dizziness. Oh, by the way, I see so many people have vertigo and dizziness. I'm sure they have a medical condition in brain, but one of the symptoms is lack of sleep and lack of water. So if we can keep up this 2, you can reduce 50% of the vertigo down. And every time I give them checklist, when they call me with the vertigo, these are the 3 checklists. oh, then most likely they will say, yes, I didn't sleep well for those many days, or I haven't drinking water, or this, or having nutrition. So those are the key things that you need to know. But then, doesn't mean when you do the self-care, you know everything, so you consult to your local doctors. So Sowa Rigpa, in Tibetan medicine, also we call Sowa Rigpa. Sowa means to heal or to nourish. Rigpa is the knowledge and the science or the wellness. So we use this alternative term. In Tibetan, we always call Sowa Rigpa. We assume this is a Tibetan medicine, but in the West, we need to identify who am I, right? We always have to, who am I? So I am this or I am that, but this is a Tibetan medicine. So we add Tibetan medicine. That's why how it becomes Tibetan medicine. But Sowa Rigpa, Tibetan Sowa Rigpa. And so those are 5 elements we went through. Now I just want to make a little connection for you. You're in the Western science. So you're probably thinking what to do with our Western medicine, or no, Western science in chemistry. I memorized those too, I forgot. But I recognize ions, magnesiums, all those things, all among this chart. But there are a lot of connection with our 5 elements. 5 elements also can boil down into, really subdivide into 60 different types, even settle down to even smaller molecules. So there's definitely a lot of connection between Western and Tibetan medicine. So once you learn Western medicine, this part, if you want to study Tibetan medicine, you can study really well. It won't be hard because if you really look into the physical part, those are things, anything in the 5 elements you can see, except Lung is intangible. You cannot touch it. So those, so we normally call disease rise out of imbalance of 5 elements. Remedies and medicines and treatment are also form of the 5 elements. So 5 elements has a lot of power. And each element, like for instance, each element has their own connection to the organs. And Jennifer's presentation has even more detail with the photos. So let's say water elements. What do you think water element would be connected to our organs? Kidney. Yes, good. Yeah, anything else? How about the fire? Fire element. Heart is one. Liver is one. Yeah, so you can connect them. They have a lot of connection. So hopefully we can discover more detail in the future. So homeostasis of mind and body comes from the how you bring your body into balance. You have to see what am I eating, what I'm drinking. Then mental part is how I'm thinking. What is my motivation? How am I thinking negatively? Am I thinking positively? You always need to judge, not judge, but watch. Because you know what we say, how often do you brush your teeth? Well, what about your doctor say? Once or twice or 3 times? But that's just all for your dental, right? But do you do that for your mind? Do you watch for your mind? So you can always take a break, like a second, like think about, you can set up a time for yourself, 1 minute or 30 seconds. How am I? What I'm feeling? Oh, if I thought something bad, you make a correction right there. You make correction. You don't have to do anything, but you think, oh, I thought this negatively, then I want to change that to positive. Remember how powerful the positive and changing perspective is? So one of the class that Lobsang teaches is, or we call 8 mind trainings. You don't need to do anything. It's everything about intellectual. You need to think about how you switch, because a lot of time you get stuck in that angle of the horn, and then you can't back up. Then what you do, if you have a backup, like if you can think differently, that's your backup. That's your emergency. That's your emergency backup. You can really leave that difficult situation. So mind is very powerful. So this is from the previous one. Now let me see. Okay, so the Tibetan medicine works with a plant and fruit. Do you know what is this one? The red big one? Pomegranate. Do you like it? Yes. Okay, good. So this is one of the king herb in Tibetan medicine. We call Sindu. Sindu has 7 or 8 different formulas. It's Sindu Sumba, Sindu Shiva, Sindu Ngava, Sindu Guba, Sindu Juba. Details. So this is a wonderful herbs. So like Ayurveda, their number one is papaya. They like to eat papaya for digestion. In Tibetan, we use this one. One of the best functions of this is to improve your digestion and absorption metabolism. But we don't use single one. You can eat as a fruit, but we formulate with other herbs together. Then a lot of the conditions that we live in this cold and damp area, allergy. Remember, we have this sneezing counts. There are 5 spices we normally use. With the pomegranate, you can use a cinnamon, you can use cardamom, black pepper, a little bit of this. If you boil some tea, drink in the morning and in the evening, that can help to reduce the sneezing. So this is the one thing that I want to show you, but so this is the presentation I had in the past. That's for the conference, what do you call it, COVID. That's the flyer that we made, and we went through all the presentation in 2020. So at the same time, everybody is suffering, but do you remember what happened at that time, right after the COVID hit? Who was committed suicide? Medical care, doctors and nurses, they're commit themselves suicidal. They're very suicidal. The suicide rate has increased so much. So one of my friends, who was an organizer at UCSF, so at that time, Lobsang and me and Jennifer was there too, right? Jennifer was there. So we were together presented to the medical doctor to cope with the condition of the COVID situation. They are actually not suffering from COVID. They are overwhelmed with the medical care. They have no care. They're so overwhelmed inside, they don't know what to do for themselves. So we just volunteered and said, okay, we can help. So we just spoke up again, just like Samsuki said. We spoke up, we tried our best. So really helped. We did this presentation for the University of San Francisco. So it's not for the small group. Then I had another presentation lately, and one of the major things I want to, so anybody who is studying the public health, I really want to put the word of Tibetan medicine as one of the best things you can implement into public health. However, no one knows, so we have few Tibetan students study public health, and she is willing to do that. She wants to bring some Tibetan medicine into public health sector. But this wonderful lady, but she's also our DTM student, we put up this workshop, online Zoom, how Tibetan medicine can transform public health. So this is something we were doing, and I was really hoping that when we are talking at UC Berkeley, we can get some people from the public health sector. So maybe not this time, or if you have connection, please let them know. I'm interested in connecting with them for this part. Then 2018, we had since 2016, we have putting the symposium at Stanford and through the family medicine department. So they normally send the students to us. Then this is the last one we did, 2018, and we had all those doctors from Stanford and UCSF and also part of the University of Minnesota, Michigan, and everywhere. So everybody contributed to their knowledge to us. So this is one of the picture from there. And here you go, Dr. John. This is this is actually a very important person. His name is Fu Li. He and I went to Tibet together in 2019, and we actually had a the medical student from Stanford. We took them into Tibet for a summer camp. So I was one of their instructors, and this is one thing that I mentioned. And also, those are Xiangsheng, who are our sponsors. They're the first graduate of 5 years of Tibetan medicine students. In the center with the glasses, her name is Dr. Punzo Wangmu. She's a friend of mine, but also we were together in Amdo at that time. Those are the 5 years later. They studied Tibetan medicine 5 years. So this is a mother and daughter. They studied Tibetan medicine 5 years with her. So Tibetan medicine is coming to the West more in the different racial than ourselves as our own roots. So I want to bring that, make a U-turn, and I'll help you can see it. And this is one of the best part I like is herbal picking. So that's we took the student up there on the mountain to pick the herbs. So they're all around the world. Those all medical doctors. So this is a Sangmo, very important person. She is the one actually put this conference together with me online. She's not with us. And I want to thank everybody put this event together, including her, and Nonzing is another one at Columbia. So thank you very much. I think that's all I have. This is our stuff at Kunde. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Yangrunla. The amount of work you put in is like sheer intensity is unimaginable. I was taking notes. I have allergies. I'm going to drink tea with black pepper and pomegranate, so I hope you all were doing too. And speaking of nutrition, we have our lunch ready outside. Everybody gets a box of food and soup, and you can eat anywhere you feel comfortable. You can bring it in, you can gather around, and we will reconvene in 30 minutes. Oh, and also one more announcement.
About the food, yeah, so it's good news about the food, so don't worry about the taking time. Very quick. So as you said, so we have lunchbox, soup, and fruit. So we're going to make 2 lines here. So both sides has a 2 different sections. So either one has the same one set of the lunch. Okay. So and thank you very much for your attention. And then
I have
mindful eating.
Sorry, just to connect with you. Okay, the special product what Samsuki is making from the goji berries, we actually have a goji berry tea. Goji and rosebud, what else? Hawthorn. So there's a tea with Sarah. She's in charge of there. You ask her what are the healing benefits. Yeah. Okay.